Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from DeltiasGaming.com, and today we're talking about one of my all-time favorite games in MMORPGs, and that's Star Wars: The Old Republic. Back when the game launched over a decade, when I was chubby Deltia, this was my first MMORPG covered on this channel. SWTOR is known for a galaxy of adventure, awesome story, and a chance to wield a lightsaber in the Old Republic with tons of Jedi and Sith battling it out. It's awesome. But it's 2025 and the game has had some ups and downs in the MMO landscape, and so everyone's vying for attention. What I want to answer is Star Wars worth your time? Or is it pulling back? Is this an MMORPG that you've glanced over or should jump in? Timestamps are below if you wish to skip ahead, but you know you shouldn't. Like and subscribe if you want more MMORPGs from this channel. Okay, let's do an overview of Star Wars Republic. It debuted in 2011 as one of the most ambitious MMORPGs ever created. At that time, I had a real-life job and I wasn't in my jammies in the basement recording YouTube videos. One of my buddies said, "Hey dude, you might want to check out this SWTOR. We got an early beta, we're going to form a guild, it's going to be great." And I'd never seen more buzz in an MMORPG of all time. It was developed by BioWare, so it's set thousands of years before the Star Wars films, and that's what makes it so cool, is there's a lot of fleshed out lore from the Old Republic, and it's great storytelling with the usual Star Wars vibe, but it has a lot of Sith and a lot of Jedi, where the films only have one or two Sith and a few Jedi. This is this huge, sprawling, massive, awesome characters battling out this war constantly, and you can live out that Star Wars nerd dream. You can tell I'm excited, right? In this MMORPG. So they were going to try this, and BioWare was going to try what they do best, and that's decision making. That was the main focal point of this MMORPG, and in my opinion, it's similar to World of Warcraft in terms of gameplay and mechanics with a Star Wars skin. So the development of the game started in 2008. And there were 12 full-time writers that have been working on it for more than 2 years at that point. And the industry experts estimate this game cost between 150 and 200 million or more, making it one of the most expensive video games ever made. And when it launched, Star Wars received widespread praise for its fully voice-acted dialogue, engaging class system, and its depth of its Star Wars lore. The game had 1 million subscribers within 3 days of its launch, making it the world's fastest growing MMO ever. However, its subscription-only model and competitive MMO market led to some mixed receptions, with many players praising the content but criticizing accessibility and endgame structure. In fact, most of my friends played, they no-life the game because, we're MMORPG locusts and we have to devour all the content, and then question the developers, why isn't there anything to do in this game? And at the very beginning of the game, there was very little to do, but most people would move on after that month and would never come back, and I think that was a mistake. By 2012, SWTOR kind of reversed its track and embraced a full free-to-play model, allowing anyone to experience its core content at no cost, while offering an optional subscription and in-game purchase for additional perks and access. And this was kind of, the death nail or the revitalization of the game. It expanded the player base and basically made it super profitable for the company to maintain the game. The reason why the cartel market, it was so popular. There was all sorts of cool dress-up items. You could buy lightsabers, weapons, skins, lightsaber skins, just anything you could ever possibly want. And I got sucked into this like I've never have in any other game. In fact, I spent hundreds, if not thousands of dollars chasing the Dark Revan mask on my character Deltia, which looks amazing, in my purple custom lightsaber. So I was one of those guys who got sucked into this. And I did the subscription, I bought the cartel coins, and I kind of got burnt out on the game going, dang it, I wish they would have kept it just a subscription model. And a criticism of Star Wars Republic and free-to-play games is they create problems and then sell you the solution. So they make leveling or crafting or all these little things in the game like travel time-consuming and annoying, and then sell you the solution. And Star Wars essentially did that. And it felt like at that point the community was tired of it, being told one thing and then reversing gears and completely revamping the game. And that's really where I think the game kind of took a turn. Now, let me tell you about the game's story-driven approach. It's absolutely amazing. I've done all the stories. The game's story-driven approach is its crown jewel. It offers 8 unique classes, narratives that let players step into the shoes of Jedi Knight, Sith Inquisitor, smuggler, or bounty hunter. Each class brings its own flavor of moral dilemmas and personal stakes, making the journey feel amazing. And this is what it's different about SWTOR versus other MMORPGs, is that you have choice. You also have companions, and believe it or not, those companions are pretty cool storytelling. Is it as good as Baldur's Gate 3 quality storytelling in modern gaming? Probably not, but for an MMORPG, I think it's second to none. Another thing that's really interesting about the story in the classes is this game incentivizes you both mechanically and storytelling-wise with completing them all. You have something called a legacy, and as your legacy grows, you get unlocks to various different skills and emotes and bonuses. So your character in PvE, at least, just doing open world and questing, becomes more powerful by playing these different classes, maximizing the companion's affection, and completing the story. And the passive perks are awesome because it makes your character easier to get around and various different bonuses. So the legacy system, completing all of the stories, is a huge selling point to this game. And moreover, since it is free to play, you can jump in and experience all of that just base game without a sub and walk away from the game with probably 100 hours of gameplay and feeling completely satisfied without buying a thing. So it's that storytelling, it's the variety of stories, it's the companions, and it's the personal choice that makes your individual story in Star Wars Republic feel way different than any other MMORPG. So what's new in Star Wars Republic? As we enter 2025, it continues to expand and enhance the player's experience with a lot of changes and updates. In 2023, SWTOR moved from BioWare to Broadsword. Now this was a huge shift, but the game has been thriving and content has been revamped and added ever since this. So it's had a massive series of changes over its years. Update 7.6, titled Galactic Threads, was released last month, including new story content and gameplay features. So just when you thought this game was dead, it is not. They're still adding tons of stuff to do. The update brought players back to the iconic location of Ilum and introduced dynamic encounters, which add spontaneous events throughout the planets, enriching a lot of the exploration that you've already done 1,000 times. You also have a formidable new operations boss. This is the large-scale PvE, offering big challenge for endgame players. And the major focus of the recent update has been modernizing the game's graphics. I like the game's graphics for when it was made. I don't think it's as bad as World of Warcraft, but definitely is not Black Desert Online. So update 7.6 implemented a bunch of changes and improvements to character models, including different key locations like Tython, Korriban, Hoth, and Ilum. They also added a lot of quality of life improvements like companion and mini pet functionings for mounts, added a new unique feature that allows companions or mini pets to accompany players while mounted, and some personalization options and changes. In-game activities have seen a notable enhancement as well, like PvP Season 7 titled Path to Mastery commenced with 7.6 update, bringing a revamped structure to player versus player content. So changes included group size adjustments. They added some additional set bonuses from previous gear that had been disabled in PvP, and the season spans 16 weeks, including a variety of rewards, new armor sets, decorations, and an honorable brew emote, incentivizing player participation across a bunch of different playstyles. And looking ahead, the development team has outlined plans for 2025, including Game Update 7.6.1 and first quarter, which will kick off the Galactic season. Further details are coming, including Game Update 7.7. But what you need to know is SWTOR is far from dead. Whether it's jumping in for the first time or coming back, there continues to be a lot more experiences to follow up on, specifically PvE. Speaking of returning players, despite its age, SWTOR maintains a dedicated player base. Server population reflects a healthy level of active players. Servers like Starforge and Darth Malgus consistently see medium to high activity levels during peak hours, especially after the release of major updates or expansions. Another thing Star Wars The Old Republic does very, very well is they have an easy-to-use interface called Activities that you can queue up for various different PvE or PvP activities. Another thing that they modernized and did that I really enjoyed was they made it so when you would queue up for a PvE activity, somehow the 4-player flashpoints and environments would kind of scale in difficulty regardless if you had a healer. So in Star Wars Republic, you have the Holy Trinity, healer, tank, and DPS. As we know, no one likes to play the tank or the healer, everyone wants to do the pew-pew damage, right? Well, somehow they made it so that the difficulty is basically fair, regardless if you have 4 healers or none. And it allows you to basically come in and enjoy the content very quickly. You can do it as early as level 10. So you're not solo isolated, but you can play solo entirely if you want to. I don't think any other game has the flexibility to just jump in and out of content in PvE or PvP so easily. Now, Star Wars: The Republic population definitely isn't as big as World of Warcraft or others, but it has a small niche of players that are very helpful and loyal to the game and love it and will really help you. And this is one of the things that I liked about the community here in Star Wars: The Republic. It wasn't as sweaty or as competitive as other MMORPGs, and a lot of people were labeled as casuals, but that was really helpful when you needed someone just to help you and answer questions and guide you around. Because believe it or not, I don't know everything. And the developers continued to engage with the community and go over things along with plans in 2025. So the game feels like it has a future now with Broadsword at the helm versus BioWare. And while it's not the biggest, it's not the best game, it's definitely worth your attention. So the strength of Star Wars: The Republic in 2025, its enduring thing is its story-driven content and the decision-making. You know what BioWare is known for, Dragon Age and Mass Effect, making decisions and seeing those play out and running them back just to see how it changes. So even though it's more than a decade, SWTOR remains one of those few MMORPGs that has all that cinematics, cutscenes, fully voice acted, in every major quest. It's so much immersion and things to do. Another thing that I absolutely love about Star Wars: The Republic story is a lot of the MMORPGs are go kill 10 rats, and the rats are very easy and it feels like all you're doing is just wasting your time doing the stories. But not Star Wars: The Republic. In fact, you can go and repeat the stories on a variety of difficulty. You have story mode, veteran, and master. Master is extremely hard to do. You have to have a mid-max build, really good gear, and have your head on a swivel to be able to beat all this stuff. And you get relatively competitive gear. Simply put, Star Wars: The Republic is built for solo play in an MMORPG. Friends aren't online or you just want to experience it, you can collect some of the endgame, almost best in slot gear just by playing solo. You can challenge yourself with PvE content, because I hate doing quests where, hey, main bad guy, super big villain of the entire galaxy, and then you nuke him in 5 seconds. It ruins the story, it ruins the immersion. SWTOR allows you to rank that up so you really feel challenged in these individual PvE environments, and you can replay them over and over and over with that in mind. Now keep in mind, classes are exclusive to the faction chosen by the player, and they mirror kind of each other on the opposite end. So you're going to have a Jedi Knight and a Sith Warrior. They're going to relatively have the same skills. They're going to be labeled something different with different animations. The game's going to use around a 1.2-second global cooldown with a variety of different skills and or spells that you can use, just like traditional tab target games, World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy here. Okay, let's touch on classes real quick since I'm onto that. You're going to have the Republic and the Empire, and they're going to be locked, but again, mirrors of each other. So if we start with the Republic, you're going to have the Jedi Knight. Now, this is going to be broken into different advanced classes. The Guardian, which can be tank or damage. Think of your traditional big, huge, brawling Jedi Knight, big story. This is it. You have the Sentinel, which is mainly a damage dealer using 2 lightsabers. You have the Jedi Consular. That breaks into 2 advanced classes, the Sage, which is your healer or damage dealer, spellcasting force user, or you have the Shadow. This is your stealth type of character, using damage, or they can play as a tank. Then you have the Trooper. 2 advanced classes, the Vanguard, which is going to be a tank or a damage dealer, and then the Commando has a huge gun. You can do damage or healing. Then you have the Smuggler. You can play as a Scoundrel advanced class, which is damage and healing, mainly known for healing, and the Gunslinger, straight up damage. Now you have the mirror opposite of all those I just mentioned. So you have the Sith Warrior. You can be a Juggernaut or you can be a Marauder. The Juggernaut is tank or damage, Marauder is just damage, Sith Inquisitor, same thing here. You can be the Sorcerer, damage dealer, healing, or an Assassin, the stealthy tank or damage dealer. Bounty Hunter as well. You can be the Mercenary or a Powder Tech. Mercenary can heal and do damage, Powder Tech can tank and do damage. Imperial Agent, you can be the Operative, which damage and healing, or a Sniper, just damage. Something to note is that you are light and dark side, and you can make choices to basically get light or dark side. but you can be on the Empire and still be a light side player. In fact, I always pick light side because I'm just like that. And that mechanic will unlock specific bonuses for you. It does kind of lock you and pigeonhole you into always making one specific choice versus the other, but they do actually play out. Another thing that's interesting about making decisions based on light or dark side in the game is you can do this in multiplayer PvE environments. So people roll on the choice that they want, and whatever gets the highest will execute that choice. And so the PvE encounter flashpoints specifically might play out differently depending on what you do. It may just be a cutscene or it may be mechanics. So there is a little bit more to making these decisions than just story elements. You get passive bonuses and they can influence your PvE gameplay. Now, if I haven't talked about it, what activities are there to do in this game? There's a million. So the first thing is when you click the activities, there's different groups, things that you can do. So you can do flashpoints. These are instance-based, level 10 to 80, with a max cap of 80. And these are easy to jump in. They're just basically instance-based 10 to 20 minute 4-player pieces of content. Then you have uprisings. These are more action-oriented, more towards endgame, group of experienced players who want a little bit more challenge. And then you have operations. So these are going to be 8 players, and you can eventually get, I think, 16 when you scale it individually. But these are your large-scale endgame PvE that can take anywhere from 30 minutes to 2-3 hours to complete, that are very hard and have a lot of different difficulties. And PvP, you can do war zones, arenas, galactic starfighter. So war zones are your basically queue up solo or with a group of 4 players, and you're just going to do these objective-based battles. And then arenas are going to be instance-based. So these are going to be smaller arena-based matches. Now you also have the ranked PvP as well. Those are going to be arenas. And then you have PvP challenges where you can set up skirmishes and guild activities. You also have Galactic Starfighter. So this is a space PvP 8v8 or 12v12 free flight. But most players just don't do that. But that is available, and there is a lot of PvE space content in this game. There's tons of solo missions that you can do on the planets. The map is enormous, so if you went to the individual map, you can do tons of different content, including earning reputation. Along with what it seems like countless activities and flashpoints. Another thing that SWTOR does very well is they have tons of seasonal events. So it's almost like every week or every other week, there's some type of seasonal or some activity in the game for a limited time where you can farm reputation, earn collectibles, cosmetics, and it just makes it a lot easier. So that's what there is to do in SWTOR the Republic. What I spent most of my time doing, if you want an opinion on it, was completing the stories and then doing PvP. I did a little bit of the operations and so forth, but that wasn't my jam. I like leveling up different characters and just doing war zones and ranked war zones over and over and over, and going hunting datacrons, which are these little puzzles that increase your character's overall performance. I would do that, level up different characters, and do a bunch of dailies. It has the daily grind fest just like World of Warcraft or other MMORPGs, which does get pretty old, but you can spend a lot of the time doing the content that you want, and I just leveled up a bunch of different characters, trying to get my legacy maxed out because I love that progression. Let's talk about the drawbacks of SWTOR the Republic. Well, basically you have the graphics. It is a bit dated, right? But people still play World of Warcraft because they like it. So you're not going to have all the graphic fidelity that you would have of other MMORPGs. The big one is the monetization. The cartel market is flashy, it is beautiful, it's awesome, there's tons of stuff to buy, but it's very in your face, especially if you're not a subscriber. It's like pop-ups constantly trying to get you to sub over and over. And I get it's a business, I totally understand that, but I'm not a big fan of the quote-unquote free-to-play, creating a problem, selling you a solution, and it can feel over the top. Also, the lack of players and/or cross-server does hamper this game. It's available on PC, so you're not going to have this huge player base of console players that are able to join in the game and queue up. So you'll have a smaller, more niche environment. That's really true with PvP, especially if you're doing ranked. You're going to see the same 20 people in there for eternity, and they can throw matches and make your life a living hell. So just be aware of that. Combat also is where people don't like the game. It's more traditional tab target. So think World of Warcraft here. I prefer Elder Scrolls Online action-based, where you're dodging, you're blocking, you're jumping and sprinting, all that sort of thing. You're not going to have that in Star Wars Republic. You're going to have 20 skills. They're going to have all sorts of cooldowns on them. They take a lot of skill. You're going to have ability and skill trees that you can respec and set different preloadouts. but the build complexity is very, very low. It's just min-maxing your gear basically, so it's kind of a dumbed down build catering, but it makes it so that it's easy not to screw up something and just enjoy the game. So let me answer the question, who should play Star Wars Republic? I would say if you're a gaming nerd like myself and you love Star Wars, I would 100% check it out. I wouldn't buy the game, I'd just like download it and start playing for free, doing one of the heroic stories. You'll either like it or can't stand it. The stories are what keeps you coming back. Then you can dip your toes into some of the flashpoints and other PvE and PvP encounters very early on, and it's easy and accessible. You can just queue it up and see if you like it. You'll probably know within 2 to 3 hours if you like this game or not, based on the graphics, the combat, or the story. It's either going to hook you or it's not. Now, I recommend going to Tython right away. You do a quest, spoiler alert, it's in the tutorial for gosh sakes, but you build a lightsaber. It's absolutely amazing to experience that, and if that cutscene doesn't hit you, put the game down, it ain't for you. If it does hit you and you're like, wow, that's epic Star Wars, let's go, I would recommend continuing playing as a free-to-play player, see if it's something worth investing in, and then sub if so. Don't open that cartel shop, it'll get you, it got me. Anyways, I hope that answers the question. Star Wars Republic, I come back once a year and play it for a few hours just because I love the nostalgia, I love leveling characters, and it's just fun to play still after all this time. Not my main game, but it's something I come back and check every single year, and it seems like it's doing well. Special thanks to SWTOR for some of this footage. If you don't know her, she's a great content creator for Star Wars The Old Republic. If you're looking for guides on the specific game, check the link in the description below. Thank you. Hope you got something out of this video. Thumbs up, subscribe if you did, and we'll see you next time.